Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
And he knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, that big shot really nailed that one. He really did. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Football Friday, where we're going to open with hockey and a few other things. I'm in the Florida studio, as you can see. Moose is in the Toronto studio. Darren, we're going to dispense with the pleasantries, and we're going to get right down to business. We've got some esteemed guests today. The owner of the BC Lions, Amar, Doman's going to be with us later on in hour one, and Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN in hour two. And guys, can we move on and hit the quick six show horn if you don't mind? We're just going to jump right into it, Darren, if that's okay. Getting down to business, the big story, although it's Football Friday, we're going to open with hockey. The Winnipeg Jets will live to skate another day. Connor Hellebuck made 22 saves to help Winnipeg avoid elimination with a dominant 4-0 win over the Dallas Stars Thursday night in Game 5 of their second-round series. Nikolai Ehlers scored twice. Mark Scheifele had a goal and a helper to lead the offense for Winnipeg. Stars up 3-2. They'll try again to close it out Saturday in Dallas. And Andrei Svechnikov last night scored the go-ahead goal with just under 2 minutes to go to help the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Washington Capitals 3-1 and scan their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final. The Canes barely broke a sweat. So we're opening with hockey. It's in my commentary today, Darren. I think we all expected that the Jets would win. We picked them to win. I didn't expect Hellebuck to get a 22-save shutty. Everybody says that round one's the best round of the playoffs. We say that every year. Can I submit that this round two is beating the brakes off everybody? This is for drama. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. The twists and turns, the ups and downs. It is wild. And, you know, for Winnipeg to be able to have the game that they did with their backs against the wall, they're going to have to do it at least 2 more times if they want to, keep this thing going.
Yep.
But wow, they came out and they played cliche 60 minutes. Inspirational. They played inspired hockey. It was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch those fans. They kept cutting to the fan shots and the parking lot shots and the whole deal. It was a fun night last night.
No reason to, well, from a betting perspective, and I'm excited to be welcoming a new partner to us betting wise. We'll get to that later on. Not right here. From a betting perspective, the betting odds would say you'd go with Dallas to win Game 6 on Saturday because the Jets have yet to win on the road, but let's not worry about that. That's the drama to go with last night and this whole series, which actually we have CFL fans showing up on this Football Friday as we're just getting going here. Not only do we have Amar Doman, the owner of the BC Lions, coming up in hour 1 and Jim Barker in hour 2. Darren's leaving after 2 segments here for the day. But I'm going to do a fun thing with Barker and all of our viewers because I love the CFL. You love the CFL. I got up my win total for every team and standings prediction. So if later on, Darren, before we go off the air, if you want to think of it, I'm not going to throw it at you right now, but it's fun to just it's going to knock your socks off, by the way. Let's just have some fun with it. On training camps underway, the preseason opens on Monday, but not here. We're opening with the big story because we are on the air in Canada, by the way. And the betting partner, I don't mind, is Cool Bet Canada. Okay, so we have a promo code. You're going to be hearing all these things lining up, moving forward with the RP show and how you can bet. If you want to talk elbows up and support Canada, then sign up with Cool Bet Canada, and I'll tell you how you can do it with the best sign-up bonuses you're going to find anywhere. But point 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs season is on the line tonight. The Maple Leafs visit the Florida Panthers, trailing 3-2. After squandering a 2-0 lead in the second-round playoff series, fans booed the Leafs off the ice and threw jerseys on the ice at the end of Game 5 when they got spanked 6-1. Do we want to do picks yet? You and I both nailed last night. We both said the Jets. We both said the Canes. We were 2-0. We come into tonight. I lead 27-24. I'm going to tell you, this one is so close. I used my coin flip app to pick a winner tonight, and I don't know how comfortable I am with it. I might have to flip again. How do you feel about Game 6 tonight?
I don't have any feelings about Game 6. I really don't. Seriously, it feels like I don't know, like a bonus hockey or a bonus game, because largely I feel like the majority has already moved Florida on to the next round. Florida's punched their ticket into the conference final. The Leafs are done. They're already booking tee times and all the rest. So I feel like this is bonus hockey. Now, these are still professional athletes. I'm curious to see what type of Leafs team shows up tonight when they're done. Like, they're already done. That's what everybody has said. That's what it looked like in Game 5. It looks like they're done. But guess what? You still got to play hockey tonight. The series is not over. Florida still has to close it out. Toronto is still technically alive. So I'm curious to see what they come up with. But we can make our picks anytime you want. I'm curious what the phone app came up with.
It came up with the Panthers winning. And I wasn't comfortable with that. Now, Again, we didn't think the Jets were done. We all thought they'd win and extend this thing. And we're not talking about Game 6 for that series today. We're talking about the Leafs and the Panthers. I can't decide tonight. I can't. By the way, that's the poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Will the Leafs win tonight? 57% of respondents are saying yes. I'm going to flip it again. This will tell it. Tails, Panthers, heads, Leafs. Are you ready? Folks, this is my coin flip app. It's the best thing ever. You don't got to carry a coin around with you. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Ding, ding, ding. Was it
Tails?
Tails. The Florida Panthers. That's my pick. I got to do it. It swept. Twice it said the Panthers will win. So that's what I'm going down with. How about you? Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm with.
Or do you?
No, I'm with Florida too.
God, ye of little faith. Darren Moose.
I picked the Leafs last game.
Team to lose today. Okay, so having some fun with that. By the way, folks, we had to screw with the timing a little bit here in hour 1. Here's a note to our operators in the Toronto studio. We're going to take a break here at about a minute's time and then take one approaching the bottom of the hour. So for timing, that's when the owner of the BC Lions could make it. When it's the owner, you do whatever the hell they want. I'm okay with that. Point 3, the Toronto Blue Jays
has the gold.
3-game home makes the rules. Yeah. The Toronto Blue Jays open a 3-game home set against the Detroit Tigers tonight at Rogers Center. The Jays are 21-22 this season. They lost this series to Tampa already this week. They're third in the American League East. Bowden Francis takes the mound tonight against Detroit's Jack Flaherty. By the way, the Tigers, 29-15 and first in the AL Central. So it's going to be a tough test for the Blue Jays this weekend. We're going to take a timeout and come back with football. Man, I'd say everybody, I hope you're sitting down. This one's going fast today. We invite your comments in the streaming chat or the Progressive Insurance text line 902-518-3033, 908-512, what is it? 902-518-3033. We're going fast. Switch to Progressive, and you can save a bunch. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Back at it. By the way, hour one for Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. The Rough Riders aren't there. They're in Saskatoon for training camp, but they'll be in the Queen City soon. Let's bring in the Moose for the final segment with him. Amar Doman coming up in the next segment, the owner of the BC Lions. And John Ohm has checked in. John is in Winnipeg, and he says, how about them Jets? First segment was all hockey, Johnny boy, so rewind, go back and enjoy that, please. Because Darren loves football, like me, probably as much as hockey. Let's get real about it. So before we get to those CFL predictions for the standings, which I will not hold you to, this is in the news, Darren. I cut and pasted this. Pittsburgh Steelers executives aren't the only ones eagerly awaiting a decision on Aaron Rodgers' future. The NFL schedule makers were also following the Rodgers saga very closely. Rodgers has had talks about signing with Pittsburgh, but hasn't made a final decision if he wants to play in 2025 or not. That leaves the Steelers with only Mason Rudolph and rookie Will Howard currently at the top of their depth chart. The league still gave the Steelers 4 primetime games. I'm laughing because who wants to watch the Steelers now? Banking that the team's strong following and history of success under coach Mike Tomlin will make them an attractive team for networks, no matter whether Rodgers plays for them or not. Earlier this week, I wasn't really prepared for the question from a viewer, but it's Football Friday now, so I thought, yeah, and I thought about it a little more. The question was, Rod, why do you think Aaron Rodgers is taking so long? I'm sorry to spring this on you. I don't know if you saw that earlier in the week. One of the viewers wrote in with it. My answer upon review, Darren, is that I think he's waiting for a better offer. That's what I think is what's taking Aaron Rodgers so long. Because why not? If it was only Pittsburgh, I feel he would have signed by now.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that. But what do you think? What do you think?
Well, there was the talk in the offseason, earlier about the Minnesota Vikings, right? And maybe that's it. Maybe he's still holding out hope that the Vikings have a change of heart. You let them get through these mini camps and OTAs and whatnot and the rookie camps and figure out what you have. And Aaron Rodgers is only going to get more valuable as teams figure out, okay, maybe we aren't quite comfortable with who we've got. Let's bring him in. Maybe there's an offer to be had.
Yes.
On the other hand, maybe he's just not interested in being part of these off-season workouts. Maybe he just, isn't interested in the extra workouts. And he's going to wait till they're over and then sign ahead of training camp. Maybe that's his plan all along. Maybe he is actually thinking about retirement. I don't know, right? Only Aaron Rodgers knows. He went through his whole process last year. Nobody understood it, or a couple of years ago, nobody understood it. The dark room, the darkness retreat, all those things. And he went through it on his own, and he came to the decision on his own. He's going to do it again. Nobody's going to tell Aaron Rodgers what to do or push his timeline. So we all have to sit and wait. And it's up to the Pittsburgh Steelers if they want to move on or if they want to wait.
Well, here's the difference. I think you're right. We see this every year in any football league. Veterans like him, guys that have some years under their belt. Now, we're talking about a 4-time MVP and a Super Bowl champion. He's already in the Hall of Fame. I mean, my God, he doesn't need to play. He's not like the vets that are sitting back going, I didn't sign with anybody. I guess I'll wait and see who calls a month in, which is what you're suggesting. He's got an offer, right? He may still be waiting, is what you're saying, for the best opportunity. But I feel like, no, if he doesn't get the offer that he likes prior to training camp, I think he will sign with the Steelers. But, oh, my God, talk about holding things up. Now, I got to apologize. Sean is watching in Vancouver. He writes in, he says, Happy Football Friday. Joe Couch got released by the Rough Riders. Cancel my jersey order. Great name for a punter. Everybody tunes in here because you're going to get the real talk. So you're going to give it. I'm not really paying attention to the cuts on any team. I see the names of guys getting cut. Like I saw this guy, Filion, got cut by the Rough Riders. I'm like, is this Ed Filion's kid? I don't know. I'm just going to I am not into the minutia of the first wave of cuts in CFL training camps. I'm not. So Joe Couch, I don't even know who that is. I'm going to use a Ted Hellard line for the Stampeders that are watching. Actually, it was Roy Shivers talking about Ted Hellard. I don't even know Ted Hellard. Whoever that is. I don't know Joe Couch. Do you, Darren? I'm not paying attention to the first wave of cuts at CFL teams. I'm sorry. You?
I'm a football guy. I'm paying attention. I followed all the cuts, but I mean, I think he's joking, I hope, about us caring about the punter being cut. And that's I hate to be disrespectful to the punters because we love them, and a lot of them come on this show, and I feel bad for even saying that. But no, first wave of cuts, not that notable. I mean, I followed it. Riders national offensive lineman Noah Zur, former Saskatchewan Husky, that was a big notable one for me, being released. Maybe he ends up on a practice roster, I hope. He's a good kid, good player too, and the right passport. But largely first round of cuts, nothing really shocking.
Okay, well, let me walk it back. Again, I saw the cuts, but I'm not getting into them. No, you said you're a football guy. You're following the cut. I'm looking at them, but nothing's really striking.
Yeah, of course.
Me. And by the way, Wayne in BC writes, and he goes, "Yes, Rod, that's Ed's son." Well, he's cut now. So, I mean, let's define roles here for a second. As the voice of the team, do you remember we had a backup quarterback in Sask, like third or fourth string guy by the name of Brian Bennett? He was like the second coming of Brian Adams. He lit it on fire, threw 4 touchdown passes in a preseason game. We had him being fitted for a jacket for the Plaza of Honor because of a preseason performance. That was my job, to build the guy up. Brian Bennett never saw it down after that in the regular season. We cut him. He signed in Winnipeg. Like, listen, I get that it is the job of the people that are covering it to hype it up. That ain't my job. Fully on cut, gone. Like Bobby Jurison's kid was supposed to be Wyatt Jurison. He was supposed to be the next one. Where the hell's he? Playing at Northern Michigan. Do you remember that? We were all tracking him when he was a sophomore at Northern Michigan. So just because you're a Hall of Famer's son doesn't mean anything. Craig Smith. Hey, Smitty, which, by the way, we got to get this baller on the air. You remember, well, of course you remember Smitty. You guys are tight. You've been to his house. I never got the invite to Smitty's house. He writes in, he says, the only cut that raised my eyebrows was Shea Patterson. Bro, me too. I saw that. And that's the former Saskatchewan quarterback. He's been around, right? Big college name. I think he played in the XFL. And the Bombers cut him. Shea Patterson started some games for Sask. And my first thinking on that was Bombers don't want Rider leftovers. And that because they cut Jake Dolegala as well, the 6'8" giraffe quarterback. And I put that on Facebook. And people are like, no, the Bombers do want the Rider leftovers. Zach Caleros, Willie Jefferson, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, we're not. It's not the same. But that one did raise my eyes. How about you?
Yeah, that's right. And good pick there, Smitty, for sure. That was a bit of a notable name. Somebody who played significant football, and I think he still had a bit of a ceiling. I wonder if he'll land somewhere. But also, Winnipeg is deep at that spot. They've got a deep quarterback room, so that was a tough spot. You 1 and 2 are already solidified with Claris and Strevler. So tough spot.
We got some good stuff. We got some good stuff going here. I know what you're saying. I'm going to invite everybody that's writing in, like Glenn in Medicine Hat, about the Memorial Cup and the dub. Can you come back in an hour? Because I will be alone then, and I will welcome all of your comments. But here with Darren, where I'm trying to keep on point on a Football Friday. And we're breaking early because Amar Doman's coming in next, the owner of the BC Lions, in the very next segment. So I told you, I'd give you a couple minutes to think about your win total. And Darren, I won't hold you to it.
Okay, good.
You know I will, because I got it written down here. Stop the presses. I have the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 12 wins, finishing first in the CFL West. That's what I have, and I have it written down. How many wins? I want to ask you placement in this. How many wins do you have, Sask? And we're going to have to speed this up.
11.
11. Okay. I have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers finishing in second place with 10 wins. How many wins do you have for the Bombers?
Yeah, I could see them with 10 wins. I'll go with that.
I've got the BC Lions finishing in third with 9 wins with Nathan Rourke. How many wins do you have for BC?
I don't know. I think BC is going to be a 10-win team.
Okay, I got you dead. That's fine. You don't need to apologize, which you didn't, but I've got the Calgary Stampeders finishing in 4th, but with just 7 wins. How many wins does Calgary have with VA?
Yeah, they got VA. I think they're going to be in that range. I think they're going to be in the 6 or 7 win range.
I'll put 6.
You realize I'm going to be giving away way too many wins than there's possible to have.
It's okay. John in Edmonton writes and he says Riders with 4 wins and the Elks will win the cup. John, it's a little early to be drinking out there in Alberta, okay? Put it down. And I've got the Edmonton Elkamos, 5 wins, last place. Sorry, new coach, new regime, new everything. You don't usually hit the ground running in that scenario. New president, new GM, new coach, and a second-year starting quarterback in Trey Ford. I got him last place with 5 wins. You?
I actually think they're going to. I think they're going to finish ahead of Calgary. I think they're going to finish ahead of Calgary. Give me 8 wins.
I got you. And then in the East, I agonized over this. Toronto was easy with 13 wins in first. Easy. But then things got interesting. I got Ottawa getting better. I have them at 11 wins. Oh, let me hang on. Toronto, 13 wins. Wow. What do you have for the Argos?
10 for the Argos. I think the East will be really tight.
I didn't say it wasn't going to be tight. I got Ottawa, second place with 11 wins. How many wins do you have for Ottawa?
I have Ottawa at 8.
8, okay. This is where I agonize. Montreal, Hamilton. I don't know this Davis Alexander. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. But I trust Danny Machocha and Jason Maas so dang much. You know what I mean? I don't like Bo. Yeah. So I agonized. I got Montreal in third at 10 wins. How about you?
I have Hamilton tied for first with 10 wins. Hamilton and Toronto, 10 wins.
In Ontario.
And I got Montreal at 7 or 8 wins.
Last place. Okay, well, you kind of understand where I'm coming from then.
Yeah.
Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, do those wins add up?
Mine don't.
Mind your business. Mind your business. We're just having fun here today.
I had 90 seconds to come up with it, okay? I wasn't doing math.
Exactly. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, I wonder if the Elkamos is trademarked yet. Why would you trademark that? Doesn't even make sense. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Sask could easily slip to 4 wins if Harris goes down. Your fortunes will rely on him. Okay, Jeff the Stamps fan, name me the quarterback behind Vernon Adams Jr. if and when he gets cut. I'll wait. Come on, you guys. Every team's the same. It's the Elkamos that have my guy, Cody Fajardo, just ready to go, man. They all seem shocked that he's pinpoint accurate at camp. You've not been listening to me. Okay, we got to get Amar Doman in here. Moose, have a great weekend. Appreciate you.
Hey, have a great weekend. Thank you.
The owner of the BC Lions, Amar Doman, joins us next. We're live here on the Game Plus Television Network. Streaming live and podcasting or wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hour one brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Fight or Flight, starring Josh Hartnett, Katie Sackhoff, and Julian Kostov. It's in Landmark Cinemas now. Fight or Flight. Check it out this weekend. Well, we're very pleased to welcome our guy, Amar Doman. Many feel the best owner in the Canadian Football League of the BC Lions. He may or may not agree with that. We'll see. Amar, happy Friday, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
I know you're traveling. You owners are always real busy guys. I'm guessing you're not in Kamloops, though, or maybe you are. Are you going to be heading out there for training camp for your beloved Leos?
Yeah, I might get up there for a day in the coming week, but I'll certainly be in Victoria for the game on Monday, the preseason game against Calgary, which is going to be awesome. We've got a sellout over there at Starlight. Super cool, and it'll have a college feeling to it. Can't wait.
Well, you guys are on quite a roll. And as I said, somebody say, Amar, the best owner in the CFL, and the evidence is there. Over 40,000 tickets sold for the home opener now with a Snoop Dogg announcement this week. Would you mind taking me through this week and that huge announcement?
Yeah, a lot of work goes into that. Number one, getting the right artist that, we think will, cross over to a whole bunch of age genres, et cetera, which is super cool. To get a talent like that, an A-list talent, he can kind of pick where he wants to go. And some of these, I would say A-list acts that we've been bringing in, Rod, these are premium acts. And I want to add that premium to the CFL where you have a class act going in, whether it's, someone's genre or not. It's going to be a big name. You can't please everybody. If you have a country artist, guys are going to say, where's the hip hop? I have hip hop. They say, where's the country? Where's the rock? we're going to try and rotate this a little bit. I know we've been heavier today up top, but really we want to add that showcase to the CFL, reinvigorate BC, which we've done over the past few years. The fan belt face is being rebuilt very nicely here, and it's youthful. And that's what I was after since day one, is getting that kind of missing generation back. They're coming back in droves. The families are coming. It's a good show out here now, Rod, and our season's tickets have gone through the roof. And it's the place to be now in the summer, is come to these games. And most of them are at 4 o'clock, which has been absolutely fantastic for families.
Oh, that Saturday afternoon, you guys own that time slot. I wish you were playing in when I was calling games. It's perfect. But, listen, I want to go back for a second. Above all the things, I want to congratulate you on winning that event of the year from Sport Tourism Canada, because I was there. It was the greatest Grey Cup ever. And just so you know, it was hard for me to say as the host of the 2013 Grey Cup in Saskatchewan, which was the greatest until last year. So kudos, Amar. And it wasn't an accident. I heard what you guys were doing. So how'd that feel to win it? And how did you go about it?
Well, two things. Number one, I want to say, look, coming from you, that's a very big accolade for you to acknowledge the success of that Grey Cup. I think we killed it here in Vancouver. The team of Riley, Dwayne, it was just an unbelievable group of people that were so passionate. These guys are working 24 hours a day when needed, didn't care, just got it done. We had lineups, you probably saw outside for the zip lining in the pouring rain on that Saturday, which was pretty miserable, for 4.5 hours. People were just standing there getting soaked, could not wait. They also, only in the CFL, this has to go down as only in the CFL, they let Dwayne, our president, zip line with the Grey Cup. Imagine if he dropped the Grey Cup. Only in the CFL would you see something like this happen. And the coolness and the quirkiness was just all, I think, done in a professional manner to the nth degree. And it was a great success. We even had Prince Harry in the house. How do you beat that?
I know. And to be honest, I'm not fooling, because I was walking around with Jim Barker going to all the things. And he's like, this might be the best ever. This might be the best ever. I'm like, well, I don't know. And by the time it was done, yes, it was the best ever. But I'd heard you guys had gone to the Super Bowl and had kind of taken some notes. It had a Super Bowl feel. Am I right in saying that?
It really did. And I had a lot of my, we have a lot of business in the U.S. and friends. And, obviously we'll put the current tension of tariffs aside here. It's not for the topic, or for today. Yeah. But certainly we had a lot of Americans up, and they were like kind of holy this is a big show. The halftime was unbelievable. Whether you're into the genres or not, the halftime show, the dancers, all the cheerleaders on the field, it had that Super Bowl feel to it. Which is the biggest party in the world. The excitement was there. It didn't matter. When I was walking with the Grey Cup, when we left the Pan Pacific Hotel down the parade, we thought we were going to get a couple thousand. We had over 10,000 walking with us down the parade. That was such a special feeling. Grey Cup's there, the police, everybody was coming in. They had the rock music blaring. I got to tell you, that's a moment almost like the Olympics coming out of here when we won the hockey game here in 2010. It's a moment you won't forget in your life.
Yeah, well, listen, I won't keep you too long, but I'm enjoying the chat. And we all need to see it for ourselves sometimes. And I went to the Athletes in Action breakfast and sat at the next table with Nathan Rourke. And after being around him and listening to him, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I get why you would give the keys to the franchise to this guy. But I had to see it for myself. He's the man.
100%. The GMs and the coaches will certainly make all the decisions on the field. We want to support whatever those decisions are. And, as an owner here, my job is to support them and let them run the team. And I think they were making excellent decisions. I think the new coaching staff was time for a change out here. And Rick was fantastic. Just time for a change. It's a bit of a different feel already in training camp from what I've heard up there. It's different. They're a little more gritty. And frankly, we all feel like there's some unfinished business. We're getting close, and then it just slips away on us. Getting close slips away on us. We got to bust through. And I think with some changes and some fresh ideas, perhaps we'll get to the next level. Time will tell. As long as the team's healthy, I think we've got a good shot at being very competitive this year.
Well, they say, I don't care what league it is, NFL, CFL, or otherwise, if you got a solid coach and quarterback, you're in really good shape. Now, I know you're a lifelong Lions fan, but did you know Buck before he came here as a head coach? Or here,
I didn't know
Vancouver,
him personally, obviously knew of him 100%, and his success in Winnipeg shows the football IQ this guy has. I mean, it's just over the top. We're lucky to have him here in BC. And then, the whole defensive side's different now as well. We've got RP recalibrated. We've got, Benavides is just a household name here. The defense is going to do some good damage, I think, as well. So I think the pieces are in place, and I just like what I see. And of course, when you're 0-0, everything's good.
Yeah, of course. Well, listen, you've added seats for Monday. So is it sold out, or can people get there if they're hemming and hawing on the edge? Can they get there?
It's sold out, and we got to be careful that we don't push it too hard, because the demand for this being even a preseason game, that's Starlight Stadium, so it's not where we played for the Touchdown Pacific. That was closer to downtown at Royal Athletic Park. Of course, that was a bigger stadium, and we built bleachers. This one is more modern. It's where the soccer is played there, but you can't get a ticket. I've got friends over there now calling. I need 10. I need 6. You just can't get them. And this is preseason. I just love doing this for Victoria.
Yeah.
Nathan's going to take some snaps. And then what I heard, and I'm not sure, but VA heard Nathan's playing. So VA wants to go in there and play a few snaps. So, God forbid both quarterbacks get hurt. It's not going to be a good look. But you know what? Just to have that kind of sizzle and the story of VA and the trade and all that kind of stuff, this could be a special preseason game of all things.
Well, while I have you, can you speak on behalf of the owners? I don't know if it's come up or if you're even following the flag football situation at the Olympics, but you speak about injuries. NFL owners next week will vote on letting their players play in the Olympics. The Players Association's already said in the NFL, we'll let them play. Now it's up to the owner. As an owner, have you guys talked about that as much as you can say where the CFL would lie on this?
Well, we have, and we discussed it this week in governors' meetings in Toronto that I was at, and the issue is the schedule overlap. I think it almost doesn't work because we're right in season, so they're still working on things. That's all I can comment on, but I don't think it lines up because we're going to need our starters playing right through the summer. So I think that's the difficulty.
Of course, it makes total sense to me, and maybe there'll be a Rourke playing, but it'll be Curtis, not Nathan. All right, Amar, I really appreciate the time. Just keep rocking it, man. Keep rocking it. I hope to bump into you this summer when I'm home.
Rod, thanks very much. Talk soon.
Thanks for everything. The owner of the BC Lions, Amar Doman. And how can you not cheer for the CFL or specifically the BC Lions after listening to a guy like that? What I will do is take a timeout, okay? And then we'll do a viewer takeover the rest of the way, plus a sports update. We got Jim Barker coming up in hour 2. We will delve into those comments. From what I'm just going to say it right now, the CFL's best owner, Amar Doman. He's the nicest to me. Doesn't take much. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. It is our final show with this crew, so I want to thank Clark. I'm guessing Jordan's there for almost 6 full fantastic years here. There you go. We got Jordan running the show, but there's a big crew over there at IKS. This is the final show today. Things start anew in a different way next week, but thank you guys for all you've done and making this show what it is. What it is.
Approved.
Football Fridays, thanks. Football Fridays are special, aren't they? You all know how much I love the CFL. It's just I'm not going to talk about it all week. Our largest viewership is Fridays. So that gives you an idea. Having it on Friday makes it special. I don't mind talking about it at all. I do want to apologize for those of you that wrote in with questions for Amar Doman while we had him on, because I didn't get to them. There was only one question I forgot to ask Amar, but I can ask it next time. I watch those Lions games and I look at Amar's suite. There's a friend of mine in his suite, AJ DeLowry. Regina folks will know the name DeLowry. I'm like, hey, why'd you let AJ in there? I'll ask him next time. The Bomb writes in. I don't know from where. The Bomb, that's a new viewer. He says, great job, Amar. You're now a Canadian icon. We'll pass it along. K-Dog writes in from Norquay. He says, last November, that Grey Cup was the first one out of the 10 I've been to that felt big time. Very well done. It's funny that Amar would say, oh, coming from you, that's a big compliment. Those guys are silver-tongued, aren't they? It doesn't matter what I say. The numbers say it was the greatest Grey Cup ever, $121.9 million revenue. That kicks the crap out of what we did in 2013. And, of course, there's people saying, well, inflation. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to admit it. This was the best ever. For a variety of reasons, for those, and the fact that they made that must attend, which is what I've been banging on for years. This needs to be must attend. People took that to mean that it needs to be overpriced. I never said that. We need to make this Grey Cup every year something that we all got to be at. If we make it affordable, even better. And that's what the BC Lions did. They just crushed it. I don't know how you make that better. Weather helps. Weather helps. Because we'll probably be in Winnipeg, freezing our knackers off in November. I just don't know how you make it bigger. I will say this. There were NFL players there. The Seahawks were represented. They were on the trade. It's like a trade show. You know, everybody says the Super Bowl is like a trade show. So what? Trade shows can be fun. Like, you're either going to want to get on board and be positive or be negative and crap on everything. Which side do you want to be on? If you were in that convention center where all those booths were, that's where the Seahawks were, and all these other really cool exhibits and things. That's what kind of gave it the Super Bowl feel. They just really did a great thing. Craig Smith, Smitty, our, what do we call him, Clark? Director of Scouting. Craig Smith writes in. He says, Buck's a great guy. Buck Pierce is a great guy and an excellent coach. There's a lot of comments came in for Amar. I really dropped the ball and not reading these when he was on. I didn't even look at the screen. He's the owner, for God's sakes. Listen, it's the one thing. You bow down when you're talking to a guy like that. Wayne in BC says the CFL needs more owners like Mr. Doman. Right? I get a kick out of this. Well, Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, can Amar list some ways the CFL owners are thinking of increasing revenue coming into the league? That's a great question that I didn't ask. I'm not sure they would be willing to divulge that, but maybe they would be. I don't know. That's like asking, can we get your game plan to the other team? Can we give it your game plan? Mark in Burlington, Ontario. I like this one. He's one of the guys that routinely shows up on Friday for this reason. He goes, hey, Rod, do you think the CFL should use the patriotic wave over Canada to take advantage of being Canadian to attract more fans through an advertising blitz about a sport that has been far more than a century pure Canadian? It doesn't matter what I think, Mark. You're asking me to validate what you think. And by the way, yes. If you sign up for the newsletter, which you can, the QR code is on the screen right now. I put that in my newsletter a couple of weeks ago. Not saying the CFL should do this. What I said in the newsletter, which, by the way, you can sign up for free right now. It drops Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. If you are serious about pro-Canadian and if you are serious about elbows up, then buy CFL tickets. And for that matter, CEBL tickets, NLL tickets, if that's your thing, whatever. Because I continue to see, I said it last fall, how many Canadians I'm seeing taking NFL trips. This is before Biden was still the president then. We didn't have this anti-USA sentiment in Canada at that time. Everybody was coming south, which is also good. But now, all of a sudden, because of Trump, you want to support Canada? If that's what it took, great. But as far as what the CFL is going to do to generate revenue, I don't really care. I'm looking at generating revenue for me. That's their job. I used to think like that, but they don't care what I think. FYI. They don't care what I think. Stop, Nelson. So Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in, he says they've re-released the Radically Canadian merch. So they're leaning into it. Okay, that's the pro-Canadian thing. Are they going to release the Our Balls Are Bigger campaign? Probably not. And these are the discussions we used to sit around and talk about, and the guys in the league office would. And I've told you, you guys all know my stories, man. I feel like I'm repeating myself all the time, but I don't want to name names. It was the Mark Cohon administration, though. Oh, we have to take another break? I apologize. We're going to break. Sorry, man. I got screwed up in my own head. We have one more to the top of the hour or two more to the top of the hour? Yeah, I've got it. Thank you. Thank you. We're good. But the Mark Cohon administration, their staff were, can you please not bring up the 90s? Why? why. It was so great. It was an embarrassing time for the CFF. Not to me. That's the one thing that I really love about this current life is that RP show, sign my own deals, Cool Bet Canada, starting today. Use the promo code RP200 and get a welcome bonus. I don't need to listen to it. I can do whatever I want. Because now they all come back around to what I was saying. Randy from Winnipeg writes in, and he says, elbows up is a terrible slogan. I think it's dumb, too, but whatever. They never asked. Wayne in BC says, hey, Rod, it's great that last year's Grey Cup was the best. Let's make every Grey Cup the best ever. Well, that's the plan. That's the task that they have. They don't ask for our thoughts. But you know what? I will say this. We did go into Vancouver. I'll give Joe credit for that. I'll give Kevin the Medium, our sales guy out there in Calgary, benefit for this. We did go in there, and the BC Lions and the host committee rolled out the red carpet. If you watched, we had all the best guests. We had the best prime seating. I don't know, man. Treat people well. Roll out the red carpet. See where it takes you. David number 1 writes in and he says, Leafs elimination game day. Pump for Pomo on the Panthers. Okay, funny you say that, and I'll carry this over into next hour, but somebody in the Panthers nation, if that's a thing, which nobody's ever called it, but sent me a screenshot that at StubHub, was it StubHub? They already have tickets on sale for the Eastern Conference Final, Panthers and Hurricanes. What do you think of that, Clark? Right? Oops.
Hot take.
Oh. Carlos in Indianapolis says, I just hope Doman didn't jinx it when he brought up the I word regarding his quarterbacks. I would say it's highly unlikely, but who knows? Here's that Heavy Gym sports update. For Heavy Gym, the Vancouver Bandits opened the season with a record-setting 105-65 win over the Saskatchewan Rattlers Thursday night. The Bandits spoiled the Rattlers home opener with a convincing performance that saw the defending Western Conference champs set a team record for margin of victory. Tonight, the Calgary Surge visits the Winnipeg Sea Bears. In the NBA playoffs, the New York Knicks will try to close out their second-round series against the Boston Celtics for a second time. The Knicks lead 3-2 and host the Celtics after Boston won 127-102 in Game 5 on home court to avoid elimination without injured star forward Jason Tatum. New York has not reached the Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. It isn't just about lifting weights at Heavy Gym. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I will remind you the Progressive Insurance text line is open for business, 902-518-3033. To be honest, I do ask for your opinions, but I know everybody wants to pretend to be a coach. Everybody wants to pretend to be a marketer. You can comment on your thoughts of what the CFL should do. I will just preface it by saying they don't care what you or I think. No league does. It's not just a CFL thing. No league does. But I guess we can talk about it. And Jim Barker will be with us, too. We'll be right back after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's coming with a disclaimer here at the start of hour 2. No swearing. I'm just going to prepare you that it's going to go very fast. So if you have comments or anything you want to get in, don't sit back on the couch or wherever you are. Get them in now. 902-518-3033. That is the Progressive Insurance text line. 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. It's a football Friday. We've got some very big topics that we've got to already. I'll just re-up with everybody. Guys, can you hit the quick 6 show horn? And we'll tell everybody what we've been doing. Thank you. Here on the last day with our production partner, IKS, that's been with us for 1,498 shows. Next week, a new era begins, but I thank the boys for that. I don't know if there'll be a show horn in the new era. I hope so, because that's been cool. Number one, we talked about NHL leftovers from last night in the quick 6 show topics. The Winnipeg Jets blanked Dallas 4-0. I had Winnipeg winning in our picks. I didn't have a 22-save shutty by Connor Hellebuck, though. The drama in these playoffs is crazy. Now, if you were betting, and I'm very excited to announce a personal deal with Cool Bet Canada today for myself. I think we're going to bring Moose along with that, too. But if you're betting, you're probably going to bet on Dallas to win Game 6 at home on Saturday. Why wouldn't you? Because the Jets have yet to win a playoff road game. But that's why you got to watch. And then similar to tonight, and this is fun. I don't need an update for the poll because it's flipping back and forth like crazy. The poll question is 0.2 tonight, the Leafs at the Panthers. I'm going with Brent from Wellington, Florida, and that our gang. He goes, "You're one of us now." That feels good to hear that. The poll question is, will the Leafs win tonight? I've seen 57% say yes, 57% say no. I had to flip a coin twice. That's how tight to me this is. At Cool Bet Canada, the Panthers are favored by a goal. And my coin flip app that I really love on my phone, flipped a coin twice. It said the Panthers are going to win. Clearly they are. And Moose went along with that. Some fan. 0.3, the Blue Jays are home tonight to the AL Central Division leading Detroit Tigers. Weekend set at Rogers Center. 0.4 was some NFL news and Aaron Rodgers. And earlier in the week, one of the viewers asked me why I thought Aaron Rodgers hadn't signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers yet. And I had to think about it for a couple of days, saved it for Football Friday. And my answer to that is, I think he's waiting for a better offer or another offer. That's all I can guess. Wouldn't feel real good if it was Pittsburgh, if you were Pittsburgh, but it is what it is. I'm sure there's an underlying story that we don't know, but we don't know, so we have to guess. Moose says he thinks Aaron Rodgers is holding out for an injury. And if that's the case, and we see that with vets that are unsigned, maybe a month into the season he gets that call. I think he signs before camp, though, with Pittsburgh, because if he doesn't have that offer yet, he's not going to get the offer. So, and I have 0.5 CFL notes. The training camps are well underway. The first wave of cuts have been made. And we do have breaking news from Amar Doman, who was with us last hour, the owner of the BC Lions. And I want to thank Fake Gainer. Are you still going by that? On Twitter, his account is officially Vintage Sasco. But there was some breaking news items in the interview with Amar Doman last hour. As tweeted by Fake Gainer, he says, obvious but interesting view on if CFLers in flag football at the Olympics will work from Amar Doman. Totally get it, but glad it has been discussed and hope they find a way. Good stuff as always at Rod Pedersen Show. Amar, and I didn't really want to put him on the spot. If you noticed, it was the only time in the interview that he kind of tensed up a little bit. He's like, we talked about it this week at the governor's meetings in Toronto, and it's not going to fall in our schedule properly. Basically, it's not happening. But here's the thing on all of that. Talked about how great we were treated at the Grey Cup in Vancouver. Hang on, where the heck is it? Wayne in BC says, I think you're the best promoter of the CFL today. I hope the CFL will back you more in the future. Nelson, our VP of Sim Event, says, no cease and desist letters in Vancouver. Strange. It's like they like you. Here's the thing. Bring us on board, CFL, or at the very least work with us instead of against us, and I'll support your decision, and I'll push the decision. Here's why the CFL won't have their players in the Olympics. Because they're playing in the middle of the summer, the Olympics and the CFL season. It can't happen. Instead of some will sit there and bang on them. There probably would have been a time that I would have done that. I'm not that guy anymore. I think Amar fidgeted a little bit because he might have felt this isn't his announcement to make. It is the CFL's announcement to make. But I also feel like I had to ask it. It was the last question. I'm like, you're the only owner that I really have a relationship with. So can you tell me what's the CFL stance on this? He's like, well, we talked about it and doesn't look like it'll work. Okay, we move on. Darren really dropped a bomb on this last week, though. Last hour, when he said there's enough Canadian talent in the NFL, they don't need the CFL. And that would be unfortunate from a CFL standpoint because the marketing the NFL is going to get out of this is incredible. I was talking to my sponsor, Bob, this morning, my 12-step sponsor, Bob. We talk almost every day, and he's like, why the hell would they have NFLers in the Olympics? What a joke. Bob's that guy. Because the Olympics aren't what they used to be, so why the hell not? Put them in. And I'm like, well, Bob, we have NBA players in the Olympics. We have NHL players in the Olympics. Why would we not have NFL players in the Olympics? And Darren's not just a pretty face with great hair. he made the point that let's look at Curtis Rourke is the perfect example. He can quarterback Canada. San Francisco 49ers aren't playing. Let's go. They got their quarterback right there. Joshua Palmer, receiver. Jevon Holland, DB. Because that's really all the league is made up of is receivers, DBs, and coverage linebackers. There's enough of those guys. Elikiah Manor, Titans. Like, that's the tough part because the CFL and the fans are going to be watching the Olympics. Why can't we play? The gentleman in Burlington, Ontario, Mark, wrote in and said, do you think the CFL should capitalize on this patriotism wave marketing? Just like people should have always been supporting Canada, they should have always have been marketing that Canadian angle. But if that's what it takes now, then go ahead. B. Henderson writes, and he says, I was boycotting American before it was cool. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, boycotting American was always cool. Now it's essential. Well, just so you know, Americans aren't real happy with the tariffs either because the prices have shot up. You know how much stuff comes from China? But hey, Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in and says, it's why I won't be visiting the dog pound anytime soon. Because you're anti-America? Is that the reason? Craig Smith, our director of scouting, says, go Jets. April 10th, Jets beat Dallas 4-0 in Dallas. Bucky and Otter both played. Can they do it again? Playoffs are a different animal. Are they ever? Yeah, I'm very excited tonight to be taking in the Panthers and the Leafs, and I think the Leafs are seeing that this is a playoff different animal. You think they would have known by now. I'm not ready to switch over to hockey just yet, however. 902-518-3033, the number on the text line for Progressive Insurance. 902-518-3033. Oh, Ash writes in, I will pass this along, Ash. He's watching in West Palm Beach, Florida. He says, I would like to congratulate Amar on a great job. He makes the league proud. Please ask him to comment on expansion in Canada and the USA. I just got this. Okay, well, let's make Amar a regular guest. Problem solved. Oh, I could go back and talk about that Grey Cup in Vancouver last year. I'm so glad I went. Joe Gunnis is the business manager of this show, and he's like, I think you need to be there. Oh, okay. He's like, the show will pay to send you there. Even better. It was just so much fun because I got to hang out with Kevin the Medium, our sales guy out of Calgary, and we got an Airbnb, and we watched the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight on the Friday night, which I wish I hadn't. Got to hang out with Jim Barker, see all the great CFL fans. I went to the CFL Legends Lunch, had one last talk with Randy Ambrosi. It was all good, positive vibes. That Vancouver Grey Cup. And I very reluctantly would admit that it was the greatest Grey Cup ever. It's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Just imagine a positive outcome to your current quagmire. It actually works. Believe it or not, it works. And last hour, Amar said, coming from you, that's a great compliment. I'm like, that. He's just buttering me up, I feel, because the numbers say it was the greatest Grey Cup ever, $121.9 million. That's burned in my brain because I think in 2013 we made $97 million, and that was a record up till that point. But everything was centralized. The weather was better. Again, we can't discount that, but they just had the exhibits, the man-made parade or impromptu parade, as Amar said. We didn't have two Hall of Famers fighting each other on stage. That'll go down in history as the 2011 Grey Cup, which was great, but it's just You got to go. See you in Winnipeg, I guess. Will they raise the bar? That's up to you. You're on the clock, Winnipeg. Allie in Sherwood Park, Alberta, writes in. She says, happy Football Friday. Great interview with Mr. Doman. We love our CFL and NHL. CFL by far is way more affordable in all aspects, as we have been to Oilers games as a comparison. Have a great weekend. Guy was telling me the other day, maybe he was on this show. I think Rich from Edmonton wrote in and said, if you were to buy face value tickets to all Oilers playoff games, it would be $17,000. Nope. Brent in Wellington, Florida, whom we're having a real Canadian night. I'm going with Brent and our gang. We're going to Earl's for supper, and then we're going to watch the Leafs. And Brent says, lose to the Panthers. He's picking 4-2. Brent, don't blame me, but I flipped a coin last hour with Moose to make the picks, and twice the coin picked the Panthers. So that's what I wrote down. Interesting. Our VP of Scouting, Craig Smith, says, loved going to that arena in Sunrise. Went there with Gil Scott and actually saw Florida versus the Leafs. Oh, Dr. Gil Scott? You saw Dr. Gil Scott? Inside joke there, right, Gil? Regarding boycotting America, I want to just get this before I forget to say it. We have viewers on both sides of the border watching this show. This show airs on both sides of the border on Game Plus TV. Why the hell would I pick a side? I got Canadian citizenship and I got paperwork here in the States. I'm good. It reminds me of that show, Ray Donovan. How many of you watched Ray Donovan? The neighbor in the apartment building of Mickey Donovan, the dad, the guy says, I get along with everybody. It's just easier. I thought, I'm going to try that. Dang, if it doesn't work, let's get along. Let's not boycott anything. Can you try it for like a day and just tell me how it feels? Because I've been doing it for quite a while and it feels real good and it's going real good. Thank you, Nelson, for pointing this out, our VP of Sim Events. He goes, I'll be locked in on Game 1 of the NLL Finals tonight. Buffalo is looking for a three-peat, but go Rush. Yeah, Game 1 tonight in Buffalo. Game 2 in Saskatoon, Sunday, May 18th, George Strait's birthday. This is funny. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, Rod, can you talk to President Donald Trump and tell him what you're just telling us? I just drove by his house yesterday. Not joking. Mar-a-Lago is not far from here. But he only comes in on weekends. John Barker, Jim's brother, is watching up in the Pacific Northwest. He says, Americans, we are not all bad. And Randy from Winnipeg, most of us feel the same about Canada. Oh, Randy says, USA is the best neighbor for Canada. Always has been, always will be. Hey, just for at least these 2 hours, let's try to get along. Let's see how that goes. I'm going to tell you, it goes great. We've got a great American coming in next, Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN. And when I said this was going to go fast, did it ever? I didn't even get to my standings prediction and wins prediction. I already mentioned in hour 1, Moose gave his, but I'd like to get into a little of that with Jim Barker when he joins us next. My standings prediction may flip you on your head. We'll see. JB in next. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back on a Football Friday, Hour 2 for Landmark Cinema. In Landmark Cinema's now Fight or Flight, starring Josh Hartnett, Katie Sackhoff, and Julian Kostov. Fight or Flight in Landmark Cinemas now. Check it out this weekend. You're not going to have a lot of weekends left because it's going to be taken up with CFL football. The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker joins us. And, Jim, we've got questions from the viewers right out of the chute. Before I get to those, what's on your mind? Yeah, what's on your mind today as we haven't talked in a week?
Well, I went to camps. I went to all the camps of all the East teams but Montreal. I saw Ottawa yesterday, and I saw Toronto, and I saw Hamilton twice. And they're coming along well. And you're right about cuts this time of year. You know, you get the occasional Noah Zur and Dayton Black, guys who are first-round draft picks that are getting cut now. And those are kind of notable to me, as, being a draft guy and loving the CFL. But for the most part, these guys are guys you'll never hear about again and probably never heard of before. So it doesn't, as big of a football guy as I am, the cuts now, I always look at them like you, but they just don't do anything for me.
It's kind of funny, though, because what hasn't changed is the second round, though. That's what just got to hit and refresh. That's different. That you're going to see some names on the second wave, and that comes like after the first or second game, right?
Yeah. Usually, well, the next cut will be the last cut. I don't think they have another one. I think the next cut is
Right.
after the second because we got the first game is Monday, and then there's 4 games on Saturday, the 24th, and then or the 23rd, and then 4 more games of following Saturday. It might be 2 on a Friday. I don't know. It all happens the next 2 weeks, and then it's all over. And they'll make their cuts after on the 31st on Memorial Day. It'll be Memorial Day for a lot of guys. Will be memories up here, on that day. And it's the toughest day to be a GM is that last cut day. There's nothing tougher, and you just don't get enough time with 2 preseason games to really evaluate players. And there's a lot of good players that get let go that, they go on and they go about their lives and probably would have been good enough, but just couldn't get the kind of opportunity, up here. So, it was fun to watch these teams practicing and guys that were in the draft. Watching Keelan White yesterday, his dad played in Saskatchewan for 5 years. So again, he's watching him play and watch his game that I'd been watching on film at Montana. I touted him as the best guy in the draft, and then watching it transfer to the field. He was actually in with the starting group because Nick Martiner was out with an injury. So that kind of stuff is fun for me. Watching what Scott Milanovich is trying to do with Bo Levi Mitchell. And, Bo Levi was as good as I've ever seen him on Monday, but he threw 2 balls that got intercepted. And at the end of practice, Scott just lit into him. And, when you can go after your best player, when he has a great day, but you can go over and say, hey, this is not about anything but winning, and we don't turn the ball over. We cannot turn the ball over. You did great last year. You had a lot of yards. You had a lot of touchdowns, but you threw too many interceptions. So he was able to make a point. So, I like watching those kinds of things. And then Toronto, they're just a completely different football team. I know you picked them for 13 wins. Chad Kelly's still not practiced or didn't practice when I was there. And again, I'm going to be surprised if he's not starting the season on the 6th game. He may not last there, but I think he might start there. But they're just totally different. They basically brought in 3 defensive linemen that Corey Mace, who is a defensive line guy, let go of in Saskatchewan. In DeMarcus Christmas and Anthony Lanier and Cox. Those are 3 guys that started for Saskatchewan in the last 2 years. They're now Toronto's starting defensive line. That's a little scary. That those guys, they have Jordan Williams, a young guy who's got 1 year in the league, but the experienced guys are these 3 Saskatchewan players. So that's a little scary to me, I think, because I think you always start, as I always believe defensive line and offensive line is where it starts and ends in a lot of cases. Mike Holmgren, when he was with the Packers, he told me, until I got Reggie White, I couldn't win a Super Bowl. And then he gets Reggie White, and boom, they win the Super Bowl that first year. He said that's how important having a great defensive line is. So, again, that's my problem with Toronto. But, it's fun to watch them. Montreal scrimmaging tomorrow. All the teams are scrimmaging this. 3 of them are on Saturday, and then Hamilton is actually scrimmaging 7 o'clock Sunday evening in Tim Hortons. So, it'll be a great thing for fans to come out on a Sunday evening and watch their team, scrimmaging. So, yeah, it's getting close. It's getting close.
Yeah, well, I'm enjoying the coverage. A couple things on what you just said. Number one, those guys were studs in Sask. So I think they were anyways. And I am a big fan of Nick Fatty Arbuckle. Maybe you forgot. He was the MVP of the Grey Cup. So I don't care that Chad Kelly's not there. They might be better off. Our VP of Scouting, Craig Smith, writes in. He says, it was excellent seeing you, Jim, at the Combine. Reminisced about our travels. Thanks for coming over. This is Craig Smith. He says, Keelan White is a stud. You said his dad played for the Riders. I have to apologize. I don't know. Is it George White, Marcus White? Which one of the Whites? Do you know who his dad was?
You know what? He told me his name, and I don't remember it. But then he got traded to BC. He said he played 6 years in the CFL. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure what. I forgot the first name, and that's on me. That's my.
Smitty,
right.
Smitty will probably.
Yeah, Craig will know. Craig knows everything. Craig was one of the first guys I met when I got into the front office stuff. We were down in Texas, and he and Kathy were there, and I didn't know anybody at that time. And they took me out to dinner, and they just kind of showed me the ropes of being a scout, because I had never scouted before. So I owe a lot of what I do to Craig Smith. He's just a great man, and it's, getting to see him in Regina was one of the best parts of the whole thing, was getting a chance to reminisce with both he and Kathy.
Oh, yeah. They probably taught you how to get free lunches and free dinners and all that, all the tricks of the scouting trade.
You know it.
Hey, I caught you. Oh, well, my dad was a scout. So listen, it's a code they have. I cut you off. You said I was right. How could I cut you after you started saying that? I cut you off. I can't cut you off when you say something as brilliant as that. What was I right about?
Yeah.
You remember?
You were right. Those guys played well. Why did Corey Mace let them go? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? But all three of them were gone. And that is always makes me suspect, because when you're talking about a D-line head coach and you're talking about you have D-line you think you can win with, you're going to pay those guys. I mean, we paid he had Flo in Calgary, and when he got there, we got to get Flo. So we went out and paid and got Flo. And he was everything he was billed to be. So when Corey, and again, it may be nothing. It may be those guys just wanted to leave, or I don't know. But when Corey Mace lets guys playing that position get away, I say there's alarm bells to me. Again, that's the GM in me. I always wonder why are these guys? Why are we able to get these guys for whatever, So are they guys that went out and paid top dollar? I doubt that. So
yeah. Interesting. We gotta get some time this summer and talk about it more, because I don't get into the personnel thing. I just play it on TV, So it's so transient now. Reinbold talked about it on this show the other day. College, pro, whatever. It's new guys every year at every position, largely, and nobody seems to be that worried about it.
This isn't as bad as what the NCAA is going to be now. I mean, the NCAA is every year you seem to have, although I think it's going to slow down. I think there's a lot of guys who got trapped in the funnel, or whatever they call it. There's a lot of guys who got trapped in that thing and couldn't get jobs, couldn't find places to play, and are now, they've lost their scholarships. And so, again, I think that the portal, I think the portal is the thing that it had a big rush the last couple of years, but you talk about mobility. See, I don't see as much mobility in the CFL. I see some, but it doesn't seem to me, but as what you talk about. It just doesn't. The good players seem to stay, for the most part, wherever they've been. I mean, I look at the different teams in the league, and I go to Ottawa, and Justin Hardy's still there. They still have a lot of their key pieces. They went and got Drew Brown last year, and now he's still there. I mean, he's their guy. Nathan Rourke is going to be in BC for who knows how long. I see Wynton McManus in Toronto. People made a run at him, but they kept him. And when you have players, sometimes you're going to lose good players. Robbie Smith was a case of, Toronto was paying him to be what he is. I think the best special teams player who can give you 15 to 20 rushes a game. Well, now he's making more money than any other defensive lineman in the league, and so he's going to have to play more defensive line. Means he's going to lose his effectiveness as a special teams player, in my mind. So again, they lost him to money, and that's going to happen occasionally, but. Again, I just don't see that happening as much. When you have a cap, there's only so much you can pay these guys. And yeah, you have Eugene Lewis, who, he got paid big dollars. Some of these receivers get paid big dollars. They go there, and then the teams find out, well, maybe we shouldn't have paid that, or maybe that was too much for us. We want to put our money elsewhere. Or they have, like they had in Edmonton, a changeover in general manager, which means a changeover in philosophy. And those kind of things. New head coach, changeover in philosophy. And in BC, Buck comes in. He makes Mike Benavides a defensive coordinator. There's now players that were there that may not be there now because they don't fit what Mike Benavides wants. So those kind of changes are going to happen. but I don't see the huge turnover you see. I see the good Roland Milligan, great young player with Saskatchewan. He's now been only one place, Saskatchewan. I think of Roland Milligan. I think of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You think of the guys who left.
Yeah.
Amari Henderson I saw yesterday in Ottawa, but he's not a guy you think about when you think of Saskatchewan. I don't know. That's just me.
No, but they're all one-year deals now, so you can keep your guy every year, but he's now free to leave, right? So, and you say there's the cap. 2 words: marketing money, which I never even heard of until Nathan Rourke dropped out of the sky last year. So, by the way, just on the portal, I don't understand, and I don't know how long you're going to be in this media thing, if you're going to go back to the football side of media, but I don't know why things get reported and others don't. And so on the portal, you know that quarterback from Tennessee that left, Nico Iamaleava?
Yeah, went to
right?
UCLA.
He was getting $2.4 million. Right. $2.4 million he was getting in Tennessee. Did you hear what he got at UCLA? Because I heard it here from the college guy.
$8 million?
But
was it 8?
Less than $1 million. Less than $1 million, I heard. He went for a haircut. Yes.
Good.
It blew up on him.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, but he lost money on the deal. He thought he was going to get 4 or more. David in Winnipeg.
Going to get up there. Yeah.
That's what he wanted. It's not what he got. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, I would like to get Coach Barker's thoughts on the CFL rules that were implemented, tweaked yesterday. Personally, I like that the major penalty was changed and or removed. I didn't see anything. That's on me. What did they announce yesterday?
The major differences, and again, I'm school still out on this one. So if you're, say the ball's on the 12-yard line going in, or on the 15-yard line or 20-yard line going in, and you get a major penalty, a roughing the passer, that ball's going to go all the way to the 1-yard line. It's not going to be there's no more half the distance to the goal on major penalties. So the ball's going to go all the way to the 1-yard line. Again, is that too much? It's kind of like pass interference. You know, they can be 40-yard penalties and just totally game-changing. And with they also tightened up and now if you hit a quarterback, you know, they can make it a 25-yard penalty if you hit him below the knees or any kind of slap to the head is a 25-yard penalty. They made, and this one is going to be interesting to watch because Chris Jones isn't in the league, but Chris Jones used to teach for his DBs who are not as big as some of these receivers to go in and just take out the legs of a wide receiver. Well, that's now going to be illegal. If you hit a guy below the knees, a receiver who is just catching the ball and getting ready to go, and you come in and take his knees out, like you see a lot on the screen passes, that's going to be a major penalty now. I think that's going to be one that's going to be looked at as, well, was that below the knee and that kind of thing. I think it's going to be scrutinized again. And the other one that I thought was the major one was moving the ball to the 1-yard line, no more half the distance on major penalties. So,
gotcha. I don't know. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get a news release on that at all. I didn't even know about it. By the way, I just looked this up. Number 1, Craig says Keelan White's dad was Richard White. Played at SFU and the Rough Riders in the 80s. He goes, honestly, I don't remember him. And if Craig doesn't remember him, that's saying something. But that was before my time in Saskatchewan. By the way, I did a quick look up. Nico Iamaleava's NIL deal is $1.5 million per year at UCLA. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Lost almost $1 million. So Utah Darren is watching. Darren Workman in Utah says Nico chose poorly. That was what they were saying around here. Nice kid, bad advice. Getting bad advice.
Well, his dad was his advisor. And a lot of these guys now are getting agents at young ages, but his was his dad. And who knows? Maybe the mother wanted him closer to home, or who knows what goes into those things. And is it worth $1 million to be able to be near your mother? Maybe it is. You never know why people do what they do.
No, it would be to me. Okay. Ash is checking in, our mutual friend Ash from West Palm Beach. Last question. He goes, can you please ask Jim his opinion on expansion in Canada and the USA? For Ash.
Well, you and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, I think, Rod, and I don't think the whole key is increase franchise values. That's the whole key to what the CFL has not done that the NFL has done. And we can talk about TV, we can talk about all that, but how can they increase values? I think getting a 10th team in Canada is important, but I think eventually, again, to not learn from what happened the first time in the U.S., I think expansion is key. And whether it be in the U.S. or maybe even England, King Charles at the Pope's thing, he said, I'm not just the King of England, I'm also the King of Canada. So let's throw some CFL teams in England and open it up to teach the 3-down game to Europe, where it's closer to rugby, it's closer to soccer, it's closer to all those things than the 4-down game, which was a derivative of the Canadian game, which started before. And England should take pride in that because, if the king is our king too, then I guess we're all in the same. And I am a Canadian citizen, by the way. You said I'm an American, but I am an American, but I'm also a Canadian. So proud of both. But anyway, I think expansion has to happen to increase the franchise values because of all the new ways streaming. And we talked about Stu Johnson and why he's there. I think he's a genius in this stuff and in terms of how to get the dollar amounts of the streaming and the rights and get the games across the U.S. in addition to across Canada and potentially into Europe. I think that's to think big, as I like to do. I think getting it to Europe is also an interesting concept.
Yeah. King Charles say he was a Ryder fan?
He didn't, and he was not wearing green. He was not wearing green.
We got to ship him something. That's what we do. Okay, Jim. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Enjoy the football.
See you next week.
All right. I know the Pope's a Ryder fan. We just got to work on King Charles. We'll be right back. It's a Football Friday Game Plus, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to the RP Show on a Football Friday, everybody. We got everybody all fired up for all kinds of football talk. Shy writes in and says, Rod is also a Rider fan. That's right, me, the Pope, and King Charles. Big Rider fans. Producer Clark, too. Utah Darren writes in on this. Nico, I am a Livieva. I don't understand. And does it matter what gets reported and what doesn't? It was huge, huge, huge news about a month ago that this quarterback at Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava, was set to make $2.4 million this year in NIL money. If you don't know what that is, you never will. But he left Tennessee because he thought he could get more. He wanted $4 million. Let's just remind everybody that a couple of years ago, they would have gotten nothing. Would have gotten nothing. Rumor was OSU was going to pay him $4 million because the guy here, Carson Beck with the Miami Hurricanes, left Georgia for $4 million with Miami. So the kid leaves. Enters the transfer portal. Gets $1.5 million. At UCLA. OSU didn't even make him an offer. So why is that not reported? I found out from a college football player here last week at the Panthers game. If you're going to report it that he's leaving and these are the figures that he wants, why would nobody report where he's signing for how much? I don't get it. I don't understand. But I don't have to. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I really have enjoyed today's RP show. It's always great, but today was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we've been loading these Fridays up with CFL personalities. That might be why you like it. Dale in Winnipeg writes in. He says, Jets win, Sea Bears season opener tonight, and rain for the much-needed Manitoba Fires. Jack and I wish you all a safe, long weekend. Same to you and Jack, Dale. Thanks for tuning in. Utah Darren writes in. He says, going from Tennessee to UCLA and losing money is a lose-lose situation. Right? Because I'm sure those college kids got to pay tax. Is that what you're saying? No tax in Tennessee, huge tax in California. You should not have your dad be your agent. John Barker writes in and says, I like that the CFL isn't afraid to make changes. Do you want to rethink that? Or, okay, tweaking the rules, they'll always do. But the 9-team thing isn't changed. There's a lot of things they don't change that we would like to see them change. No, rules, there's always a few rule changes every year. Too much for my liking. Let me do a quick sports update here. The Maple Leafs, for Heavy Jim, the Maple Leafs face elimination tonight in Florida, trailing the Panthers 3-2 in their second-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Toronto looking to bounce back from Wednesday's 6-1 beatdown in Game 5. Coach Craig Berube's group hasn't lost 4 straight all season. and needs a win tonight to force Game 7. We're having a real Canadian night. We're going to Earl's for supper and then going to watch the Leafs play. You would think we were in Toronto, but we're not. The Winnipeg Jets are still alive after a dominant 4-0 win over Dallas in Game 5 to stave off elimination. Connor Hellebuyck made 22 saves while Nick Ehlers scored twice in front of a fired-up home crowd. Game 6 goes Saturday in Dallas. Jonathan Vegas holds a 2-shot lead heading into today's second round of the PGA Championship after a surprise 7-under 64. None of the world's 10 players cracked the top 10 on the leaderboard, including Rory McIlroy. The New York Knickerbockers could advance to the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in 25 years with a win over Boston tonight at Madison Square Garden. Last night, the Canadian Elite Basketball League kicked off. The Saskatchewan Rattlers got speed-bagged, motor-boated, 105-65 by the Vancouver Bandits. In SaskTel Center, the biggest margin of victory in CEBL history. Tonight, the Vancouver Seabears welcome the Calgary Surge, as Dale in Winnipeg was referring to, at Canada Life Center. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. We'll be right back with Overtime. Get your questions and comments in 902-518-3033 and the streaming chat. We are live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling. With the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, everybody. It is Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where I'm got a pretty good sneaking suspicion, as my mom would say, that Randy and Michelle aren't watching right now at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary because they're busy hosting the Player Development Day. So if you were smart enough to get your kid, grandkid, niece, nephew, what have you, into the Overtime Player Development Day today, way to go. There's always something exciting going on down there. Give their social media channels a follow, please. And if you're stopping in there at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, tell them the RP Show sent you. I'm just perusing audience messages here. Fake Gainer, I feel like you're not responding to that moniker anymore, but I'm going to continue calling you that. He's going by on Twitter at Vintage Sasko. He says, Jim Barker advocating for CFL expansion to England? Tongue-in-cheek or not, LFG. Let's flippin' go. That's what LFG means, if anybody doesn't know. Crumpets and tea. Interesting, I have zero desire to go to England. I just don't. I have nothing against them. It's just I'm happy here on this continent. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, by the way, is there a show on Monday? No, there is not because of the holiday. Colin in Ottawa says, why is IKS Media no longer producing the show, Rod? I'm going to miss Clark. Time for a change. It is what it is. It's business. These things happen. Please enjoy the show responsibly. And thank you, Clark, for the message there. And that entire, I would want to name everybody, but it would be awkward if I missed somebody. Jordan, Ryan, Bryce, Connor, Tona. Craig writes in, says, I think the Elks, our VP of Scouting, Craig Smith, says, I think the Elks will be better than people think. Solidified O&D lineman. I told you these Football Fridays are our most watched show of the week. Trust me, I know what I'm doing here. If we load it up on the one day, it'll make it special. And that's what we have. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, I'm so excited for the CFL season to begin. But what surprises me is that I'm excited for the Stanley Cup playoffs to continue to be great. I followed the NHL more closely this year, and I'm loving it. I know, me too. See, that's the thing. I think it's good to expand your perspective, right? And it was awesome being in Saskatchewan for a half century. That's where I was. It's the Alabama of the CFL. The football team is everything. And I could never quite figure out why people across Canada did not want to compete against the Stanley Cup playoffs for eyeballs. They just were dead set against it. Now I get it. It's a pretty big deal outside of Saskatchewan. But we can also walk, what do they say? Chew bubble gum and walk at the same time, tie our shoelaces. We can follow both. We are. We're doing it. Maybe not everybody can, but. Speaking of Calgary, well, a couple things here. Sports on tap. We've talked enough about the Leafs at the Panthers tonight. Both Darren and I have the Panthers to win, and I have picked, no, I didn't. My Flip a Coin app picked the Panthers twice. I flipped a coin twice that said Panthers. Darren legitimately thinks the Panthers will end this series tonight. What a negative Nelson he is. Moose. He picked the Panthers to win this series in 5. Looks like they're going to do it in 6. Western Hockey League Championship Series could end tonight. They're playing in the Lilac City, Spokane, Washington. Medicine Hat's there to visit the Chiefs. Tigers have a 3-1 series lead. Looks like they'll make quick work of it. If they don't, they'll be going back to the Hat, the Co-op Center, for Game 6 on Sunday. National Lacrosse League Championship opens up tonight. Game 1 in Buffalo. The Saskatchewan Rush are there. Thank you, Cardinal Ryan, for chiming in and sticking with us not only today, but every day. You have a great weekend, too. The Centennial Cup. I'll be interested to see when this thing is all over. A, who wins it? B, what's the breakdown as to how it went? Because, in Estevan, when we were there, the rink was packed every single night. Portage wasn't quite as much. In Calgary, I hope they fill it up for these playoff games. Today, quarterfinal, Sudbury versus Melfort. And then Rockland versus Northern Manitoba. Those are the quarterfinals tonight. The winners advance to the semifinals on Saturday, featuring Calgary and Trenton. They're sitting there waiting. The Calgary Canucks and the Trenton, whatever they call themselves. I don't know. I'm just a really big junior hockey fan. Centennial Cup is special to me. We're following it pretty closely. BW writes in, he says, so where do we tune in on Tuesday? Trucking back to Alberta. Tune in right here. No change as far as you know, BW. Wayne in BC says, go, Leafs, go. Didn't know you was a Leaf fan. What else do we have? We mentioned it earlier. Celtics at the Knicks tonight, playoff game 6 of the second round. More than anything, it's been a lot of fun today. Thank you to our guests, Amar, Doman, Jim Barker, Moose, way, way, way back in hour 1. We covered a lot of ground real fast with Moose. Got to our Stanley Cup picks. We did our NFL, CFL talk, standings, predictions. It's all going to be great. As Nelson says, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourself and each other. Thanks to our partners. It's been a ride. Have a great long weekend.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?